Okay, great. Dear founders, dear investors, welcome to our Startup Investor Pitch One. I am Tanya Mitchell. I am the producer and host of Startup Investor Pitch one of a kind event that connects disruptive founders and prominent investors from around the globe. We help facilitate game-changing investment opportunities. We help talented founders get in front of top Silicon Valley and global investors. And we help investors discover high potential deal flow from new emerging markets. Today, we have an exciting lineup of rockstar founders, potential future unicorns, who will be presenting their companies and their innovative products today in the areas of AI, SaaS, travel, publishing, fintech, and transportation. Today, you will hear from the following companies: DreamscribeAI, disruptive startup that is empowering authors by redefining the publishing process. AxonAll, the full-suite digital luxury travel partner. ReconfigAI, strategic workforce transformation with AI. OrcanaAI, enabling business leaders to talk to their data. My Loyalty Wallet, reinventing customer loyalty program. And VaronAero, a company that is inventing a new form of mobility infrastructure. Each company today will be presenting for 10 minutes and will have 5 minutes to answer investors' questions. Make sure you follow this timing, as I would hate to interrupt you guys, but we will have to be strict with the time, as this lunch will only last 90 minutes. So let's try to make the most of it. And we have a panel of our brilliant startup judges today, outstanding angel investors and VCs, who will be asking you their top questions and providing their critical or supportive feedback. We don't have any scoring system here. We don't select any winners or losers, as it is not a contest, but just an opportunity for you to network, to meet talented founders and high-profile investors, and to explore opportunities to pitch, connect, and invest. And our honored judges, investors, will get, if they get really impressed by your pitch today, they might invite you to a one-on-one meeting to talk further. In our judging panel today, we have really great, outstanding investors from both Silicon Valley and the East Coast of the United States, but also Dubai and Europe. Let me introduce our judges today. And I will be doing really short introductions now to optimize time. The longer introductions we shared with the founders so they could learn more about your work. So among our judges today, David Gluck from Global Playtech Ventures, Emilio Escarcin from Fuel Capital, Kate Celedes from One Valley, Suraj Rajvani from the Double Rock VC, Max Shapiro from the People Connect, Kai Wang from Alta Park Capital, Henry Grialba from Oblique Capital, Casper de Klerk from the Norwest Venture Partners, Duncan Davidson from Bullpen Capital, Brent Ahrens from the Khan Partners, David Mendel from the Emerging VC, and also angel investors, Eric Paglia from Miami, Samira Rao from the Silicon Valley, Kay Greenwald from Riyadh Syndicate. Welcome all, and thank you for finding time to join us today, as we are looking forward to hearing your insightful questions and feedback. I will be also sharing the pitch decks from today's speeches with all the investors after this event. We have a number of other investors who tentatively confirmed their interest to attend this meeting, and they will be popping in and out and joining us later, or rewatching the recording of this meeting later on. So if you're an investor in this meeting room right now and I didn't introduce you, you can introduce yourself when asking your question. To ask a question, you can raise your hand and I will give you the mic. Before that, we will all stay muted to allow pitching founders to present. In case of any technical interruptions, don't panic. Please re-enter this meeting room with the same link. Thank you all for finding time to attend our Startup Investor Pitch One today. And on this note, I'm excited to open our pitch session and to hear from our genius founders. The first company to pitch is DreamscribeAI, disruptive startup that is empowering authors Redefining the Publishing Process. And I want to invite DreamscribeAI founder, Ken Fibe. Ken, you can unmute yourself now.
Beautiful. Thank you for the warm intro, Tanya. I appreciate that.
Welcome. Welcome. You can share your screen.
I was going to say, it's about that time, right?
Yeah. So
right,
10 minutes for pitch and 5 minutes for questions, Ken.
All right. Let me see. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Beautiful. All right. Let's kick it off. Hey, guys. Ken Fibe, founder of Dreamscribe. Our motto is empowering authors and redefining publishing. Okay, so I'll quickly go through this motto and then give you a real-world example of what we do. We help writers create and publish professional standard novels and biographies with seamless, dynamic, and all-in-one tech. Now, what does that mean? I started my journey trying to write a book, okay? There's so many elements to go into writing a book. There's publication companies, there's rules for self-publication, there's money that gets involved when you bring on publication teams. I was reading books on how to write a book, right? There's sci-fi, there's all these different elements that go into writing a book. It's the reason why 81% of people want to write a book and most people don't. It is a mountain that is just seemingly endless. And what we do is we help guide you through the entire process of it without actually doing the writing for you. So you get to maintain your creativity while we take care of the hard stuff for you. Okay, and now let me get into it. I'll explain that a little bit more. So here's the 4 reasons why people don't publish, right? I don't think it's any surprise. I imagine most people here wanted to publish a book, right? Or at least you got that book in the back of your mind, but you don't have the time because it takes months or years, right? The skill or confidence, and this is also professional writers too, by the way, if they want to switch genres or if they're coming out with a new book, they still have self-doubt about whether they can create this new book, right? They have no clue on how to write it, right? Or the cost. It's $5K average to self-publish, and we're talking lots more, $22K average to hire a publication team. And then there's writer's block. Everybody knows about writer's block. These are the left is the hobbyists, which is about 40 million people in the United States. The indie writers is 600,000 and pro writers is 50,000. We're talking a massive amount of people. This is no surprise that want to write a book, but most people don't. High level book, not some generative AI nonsense that gets banned on Amazon later. A high level book that you're actually proud of that you can say is yours and not some other words that were written for you. So this is the current solutions, right? This is what I was doing. This is what current authors are doing, right? They're using AI writing SaaS, which is generative AI, which again, removes the creativity. It just remixes the words or pumps it out for you. There's no dynamic questioning. So if I have an idea in my head, I don't know what questions to ask myself to really pull out the deep thought structures and the deep ideas and notions that I need to get out of me, right? That's what a good ghostwriter does. That's what a good interviewer does. Most authors, you got to use 3 different apps to accomplish one goal. There's no audio input, so you can't upload your notes quickly. If you get a thought in the shower or while you're jogging, there's nowhere to upload any ideas for the story. You got to wait till you get back to your desktop, right? And again, generative AI is done for you. It's all done for you. That's why the AI is the dirty word in all of the publication industry, right? It's why this is why no writing SaaS has ever been acquired by the major publishers. It's because they're part of the problem. Right? And on the traditional publication side, you gotta have a ghostwriter. It's a long, frustrating process with no real-time feedback, right? And if you self-publish, you still gotta invest in courses. You gotta invest in, you gotta research writing methods, just like I was doing when I was writing. It's frustrating. This is us, though. What we do is we fed our AI. We don't even like the word AI around here because what is AI, right? Everything is AI. But we fed our tech with the processes, formats, and metrics of what makes a successful book in each genre. It's all data, right? And it's like having a pro publishing team guiding and teaching you, right? So sci-fi is going to have different rules for what's successful as opposed to mystery, as opposed to romance, right? And here's what we do. You start off and you speak into the audio integration, long stream of consciousness, right? It's a book about this, and all I know is it's going to end like this, yada, 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 as long as you want. Do it for an hour, do it for 17 hours, upload all of your notes via that way. It's super quick and fast. Our AI then can go in and parse out. We use really complex tech that knows how to go in and parse out and do immediate follow-up dynamic questioning. That kind of information of what kind of questions to ask is fed into our system based off success metrics. It's all based off of known success metrics. Okay, so this is extreme refinement. And when you go to plot, So this isn't just macro, this is also micro, right? So we could track your settings and scenes, timelines, outlines. It's actually smart enough to know if you said this is the year 1200, but later in chapter 5 you said plumbing, it will check and say, wait a second, you said plumbing, it's year 1200, that didn't exist. Let's explore that. This is what a good editor does, right? Or if you've got chapter 3 of book 3, that this character interaction is happening, it can cross-check and reference back to book 1 and say, hey, listen, that conversation's already happened. We probably shouldn't repeat that. Something similar to that, right? You can kind of see how smart this AI is, right? And this is formatting, post-publication support. So I have partnerships with post-publication support companies so that when you're done with the book, you're not just left hanging like, what do I do now? We don't want to go back and reinvent the wheel for post-publication support. So we partner with people that can help you build your book with different ticketing services so that you can market the book once it's all done. This is kind of what it looks like, right? So it's ultra intuitive and it's a user-tailored platform. Okay, you can upload your previous works, again, to have all that cross-referenced. You're going to get mind maps, character backgrounds, you're going to get visuals. This character background that you're seeing right there gets populated automatically. Okay, and the more that you use it, the more refined the AI gets and teaches you and guides you. One of our phase 2 and phase 3 plans is to get this in education institutions, because remember, this is not writing for you, it is guiding you the entire way. And so you can imagine kids having their characters come to life, or teens, or even in the creative writing process. You have all of these characters coming to life with the web, the relationship webs that connect all of them. And you actually have all of your stories and all of your thoughts coming together forth. And it's exciting, it's addicting, it's fun, and it's enjoyable. And it makes you want, at the end of it all, you can say, I didn't learn Shakespeare, which nobody really wants to do, especially not now, right? It's like, I got to build out the characters in the story of my dreams. This is what we want to do. This is how we're building this. And this is how we did it. This didn't exist until not long ago, right? RAG is retrieval augmented generation methodology and programming. And so is FLAIR, which is forward-looking accurate retrieval. You mix that with the audio integration and you get cost efficiency of only 7 cents per user per month. And it's 97% accurate because it is fed into our own LLM, right? And so our own database, so that we're not referencing all the internet like GPT does, which is only 81% accurate, right? With none of the hallucinations that you see in other AI. And we have a copyright because we're feeding it content that is only coming from our in-house professional writers and not coming from an outside source. We're copyright protected. And that is how we're feeding our dynamic questioning system, as well as the cross-referencing system. I don't think it's any surprise this market is huge. Global publication is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and all of this is only increasing at exponential rates, right? 141 billion in 2033. You're looking at the writing software industry going up to 13 billion. Self-publication, especially since COVID, nobody is just a doctor anymore. You got to be a doctor with the book, and you can't just be a doctor with one book. You have to be a doctor with many books. Everyone wants to write a book. Doesn't matter where you are. It's just there's nothing out there that's been helping you write a high quality, effective book that also helps guide you and edit with you, right? And so self-publication is astronomical. The #1 selling thing on all of Amazon is romance novels, right? And it's going up 52% or 52% in the last 2 years alone. This ain't slowing down, and it's not going to anytime soon. Here's the current competitors. All right, so you got Campfire Writer, which does your story Bibles, your plotting, and your drafting, okay? Scrivener is a really outdated software, but this is the closest competitor that we have that helps you draft and edit. It kind of gives you these visuals, but it looks like something out of 1999 GeoCities website. And this is the most up-to-date software that's out there. Pseudowrite is a generative AI. It helps you with story Bibles, remixing words, right? Kind of like I said before. And that can help with plotting and drafting. Here's the thing. None of them have audio integration to help you upload ideas anywhere. None of them have the AI organization that we do at our level, and 0 of them have the high-level dynamic questioning that we have. When you combine all of that, we are the one-stop shop place for all of publication. Here's our go-to-market. Beta test with our MVP just launched 2 weeks ago. We're beta testing with 50 authors right now and influencers to get their feedback. We had 500 people on an email waiting list that is waiting for a slow drip roll into that to test it out, collaborate with our influencer partners and authors, right? Because authors, it took them a minute to get them to convince that, come on, it's not AI. You swear it's not, oh, it's not AI. I see what you're doing. That's why we were able to get so many authors to come on. If it would have been AI, generative AI, they would have booed us out of the room, but they're not. And so we're going to release this into literary agencies, publication houses, vanity presses, online communities. I've got a meeting next week with Wattpad, which has over 90 million people every month visit their site for fan fiction, okay? Because again, our ethos is we do not do the writing. We empower authors. We are not replacing them in a world where everyone is afraid of that. We're positioning ourselves as an ethical AI company that's educating. Here's our model. $19 a month, $29 to $59, right? This is the average price point of what authors are currently going to be spending on other software that's out there, right? And the reason we do this is because you can come on, you don't have to worry about if I'm going to be building my book. If it was expensive, if it was $100 a month, you'd be worried, oh, it's $100 a month. I don't really keep building here, and it might take time for me to build my book. I'm too worried about it. But at this price point, you can actually feel comfortable having your works and it's uploaded with us. Take your time with the book, so there's no rush, right? And so our model is the average of our top competitors as well, so it's no surprise. And our ARR projections are these are projections based off of years 1 to 3 of our competitors, right? Which is about 3 million by year 3. Now, this is the team. This is the team. It's me. I'm a former AI systems engineer at Autodesk. I was a news reporter at Trib Total Media. I did go-to-market strategies for LG and Samsung over in Korea, back to the States, and I co-founded a SaaS before. This is Randall. She's a community developer. She's a book talk influencer, and she works at Sego, which is the top market research company in the world. She's also consulted with Fortune 100 companies. Ijaz Pur is our CFO, serial founder. He's exited several companies. He's a SaaS founder. He's 10 years of C-suite experience. About as smart as a finance guy can come. On the bottom left is Steven Spatz, who's the ex-president of BookBaby, which is the leading Amazon KDP publisher. 500,000 authors every single day get fed into Amazon via his former company, BookBaby, who now we're going to have a partnership with. Really good talks there. He guides us with our publication partnerships. And here's Tamaz, the guy, the brains behind the tech, full stack developer, ex-Amazon and IBM developer with 10 years of cybersecurity experience as well. Bottom right is our AI systems, or director of AI innovations, Aiden, who also speaks a lot of languages and is our RAG and Flare expert. This is where use of funds will go. We're asking for 1.2 mil. We are actually now, as of last week, very close to that. So we actually opened up our round, and now we're going to be expanding it even more. So we're going to put the round until the end of September 30th. We, by the way, did all of this in just 4 months with just $85,000 from one angel investor. So imagine what we can do with even more money. Okay, so we are smart, fast, and extremely efficient over here. And the money's going to be spent towards personnel, developing out the product more, and our go-to-market strategy. And I'll briefly touch on our roadmap here because I know I'm running just out of time. But we have, again, I said our MVP is out. The audio integration, we're going to have that more enhanced, gather user feedback, develop the features more, enhance the dynamic questioning, really focus on the core features for the pre-seed, really get that product out. For the seed, that's where we're getting the mobile, right? You're going to have mobile development. You're going to have partnerships with character and environment building companies, screenwriting and gaming, right? That's when we really build to that next stage. And then at Series A, we're going to really explore these partnerships and getting into education institutions once the product has really been formulated. That's us. And I hope you guys join us for this opportunity to pioneer ethical and state-of-the-art technology in the entire publication industry, to never get booed out of a room ever again for saying the word AI, to actually empower authors throughout this entire process and get you, Tanya and Emilio and Max and everybody to write that book and get it out of you, right? I am so happy to present to you guys. I hope you kind of see what I'm trying to build here. And also open up the floor for some questions. How about that? There we go. Let's stop this shit.
Yeah, Ken, I want to applaud to you. I was wondering where does all this fantastic presentation skill come from? And apparently on top of all your background, you were a news reporter.
Oh yeah.
So that is now it answers my question. Amazing presentation. I see you fired up the room. Our judges are all excited, and I want to give the first question to Kate. Please ask your question, Kate.
Hi, Ken.
The Valley. Yeah.
Okay.
The One Valley.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm Kate. I'm a principal at One Valley Ventures. Thank you for a great overview. First quick question, like actually similar to what Tanya said, like what's your personal story? How did you choose this specific problem to work on?
Oh man, I love this question so much. Because of my experiences in South Korea, I was in some of the most major some of the most major movies and dramas and everything. I was a part of these really big commercials, very unique life in the K-pop and K-drama world, developing strategies to go over to America. And sometimes they put me in front of the camera, right? And so I was going to write a book about my experiences, the big, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. And I found myself, I was so stressed. And I'm a writer. I was reading books on how to write books, but I also have this analytical brain. It's like, there has to be a faster way to do this. This is just data. There's no gatekeeper of information on how to write a book. If I just fed that into a large language model, I could then help me build my book faster. And then my friends were asking me to help them with their chapter outlines. And I was like, yeah, well, okay, I can do that. I got with a developer. And the next thing I knew, that first investor I showed you on that, we helped build his book with him. Okay. And he goes, you don't have a company yet, but here's 85,000. You should definitely go start this company thing. And so we did. It turns out building a software to build a book takes way longer than actually writing the book itself, right? But the idea is to empower way more people, and that's kind of where the vision came from. You know, it's just, I'm not the only one that had that problem, and obviously, right? And I saw creativity getting ruined, and I don't want AI to ruin creativity. I want to empower people, right? And that's where it all came from. That's such a good question, Kate.
And that brings me to one more quick question. Like, so you help your users to write the book. What is the process of like publishing and promoting the book post-writing?
Yeah, that's a great question. It goes to our post-publication partners. So we're not going to touch that. That is like a whole business onto itself. And so once you're done with us, you get a discount on one of our 2 post-publication support partners who have many, many years of experience in publication, varying ticket levels. It could be $500 for a course KDP marketing. It could be a done for you, which is up to $25,000. Some authors really want that, right? And so we give them varying options once they're finished with us. Yeah, we don't want to leave anybody hanging. You know, that's a good question. It's like, what do I do now, right? We got
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Who's up next?
Amazing. And I see we have so many questions for you, Ken. So let's do it quickly. Emilio, you were first. Fuel Capital.
This is Emilio from Fuel. 2 questions actually. One is related with the legal consideration in terms of intellectual property of the publishings. So maybe the AI can help on that, and you can walk me through a little bit about, you know, the consideration about this point. If your let's say a company is willing to protect the intellectual property and being compliant with the publishing regulations, this is one question, but it's much more, you know, from the ethical perspective. The other one is, how do you plan to scale the business? Maybe scale your operations, expand your catalog, or build partnerships with authors and distributors? Could you please walk me a little bit?
I love that question. I'll answer the first one first. They have all of the rights. The author has all of the rights to everything. We own none of the rights. We're not doing any royalties, none of that. Whatever you build with us, you sign something that says you have all the rights. We're never going to claim to have anything. And as far as our copyright on our back end of what we're feeding the system to then help guide the people, that's all in-house written things. And so that's all 100% taken care of copyright-wise. So we're not going to be pulling works from somebody else. And the second question is how we're going to develop partnerships and things. So there's, in the publication world, it's insane. There's literary agents, there's vanity presses, there is major publishing houses, smaller ones. There is post-publication support companies. And what we do is we actually come in and say, we can empower every single one of those institutions, empower their authors and their clients, because we come along and say, you can use our software to make more books, make them faster and make them more efficient and remove all the headache from the authors, right? And so we're a value add to any single one of those in one of those verticals within the post-publication support industry. It's something that didn't exist. I wanted it to exist, which is why I built it, right? And so I am building it. And yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah. Thank you, Ken.
Okay. Yeah, great question.
Amazing. Next question. We probably have to limit 3 questions per founder, otherwise it will take too long. Who had a question that is a burning one? I saw so many hands. We had 3 hands.
I do, Tanya.
Yeah. Hi, Max.
Hi.
If you're from People Connect, Silicon Valley.
Thank you, Ken. Thanks for the great presentation. A couple questions about your pitching. I'm catching. Two questions. Number one is you're raising 1.2. You put in 85 of your own. You got a hell of a lot done in a short period of time with a little bit of money. But you didn't tell us what the deal is for investors. Is it a convertible note? Is it a SAFE? What's the cap if it's one of those?
Oh yeah. So it is a safe note with a cap. It is based on a 5 mil cap at a 20% or 30% discount for the first angel investor. Yeah.
Very reasonable. Very reasonable.
Yeah, very reasonable. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
we got a lot of questions, so keep it short if you will. I've got one more for you, which is
sure.
WIIFM. What's in it for me as an investor? Talk about the potential exit, please.
I love this question too. So in the publication industry, I mentioned before, not a single one of the writing SaaS has ever been acquired because they're part of the problem. We come along and say we are a value add to your publishing house. There's 4 major ones. There used to be 5. There's now 1 got bought up, right? And so we come along and say we are a value add for you, a competitive edge for you versus the rest. So it could be any of the major publishing houses that acquire us. It could be Amazon themselves, because now they're banning books left and right. And so any type of assistance that they could have to help with the KDP process, because the ex-book baby president had said there's a lot of complications for authors.
I got it. Thank you.
So those are the major acquisition potential.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Ken, you were a rock star here. I'm so happy you were first. You were kind of giving us all this amazing energy. So let's take these 2 questions. I just can't stop them. Kay Greenwald, please, you raised your hand.
Hi. Yeah, but questions already answers that I wrote down. One of them that I still have is you mentioned the cost side in your deck was like 7 cents a month per user. That seems very low. I'm not an expert, but I know what I pay for some of the other models.
Yeah.
Can you very briefly shed some light on why that cost is that low and what do you guys
think? So when you mix those 2 methodologies, the Flare and the RAG methodology, and you host it in-house, you're not actually going anywhere else to pull and retrieve the data. That significantly decreases the ping costs, right? Now that is the per user for the internal ping costs, but there's also, that didn't incorporate the data structure or sorry, the housing of the data, right? And these other cloud architecture costs. So that was just showing the pinging costs versus other LLMs. I think the total cost per user is probably, I believe it's, as of last week, it's like 31 cents per user. So it's still
depending on volume then, right? Yeah.
Depending on volume, yeah. And so we're gonna have a credit system built in as well. So if you ping 1 million times, we're gonna have like extra credits for like 1 million.
Would have been my follow-up question. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. There's gonna be a credit system.
Stellar founding team. Really like it.
Oh, thank you.
Samira Rao, thank you so much, Kai. Samira Rao, you had a question?
Sure. Probably similar to what Kay was asking there. What is your projection for COGS and OPEX? Because again, similar to what Kay was asking with the models and I don't know what interface you are thinking about. Maybe it's an app, maybe it's a website, it's a combination of both, especially for input suggestions and all of that. How are you guys thinking about that and keeping that low?
Yeah, so I mean, currently we don't have the mobile app. That's something that's going to be part of like phase 3, right? So as far as the costs, it does cost to ping the back end of any of the other LLMs that we're using based off of mathematical structure. So that cost changes all the time. It only increasingly goes down with time. It never goes up. It's only been going exponentially down. So right now it's 31 cents per user total for everything, including the cloud infrastructure. But with that said, we expect it to go down to like 25 cents per user. And this does not include the number of pings. This is based off of, on average, 500 pings. So if they ping the system 1,000 or 10,000, if they really, really want to go really deep, it's going to increase the costs. And so that's when we're going to have the credit system baked in, which is going to be 1 million credits. And we can determine what a credit means, right? 1 million credits here and the 2 million for the max plan, sort of incentivize them to go into upper plans. I hope that answers your question.
It does. It does. Just one quick follow-up on that one. Have you thought about any referral model for your ARR in terms of publications?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a person over at so like at Wattpad and at selfpublishing.com where if we have an affiliate model with them, every book that we feed over to these post-publication companies that aren't one of our partners, it could be a literary agency, it could be any type of publication, post-publication company, editing companies, where they're starving for authors to come forward, right? They're starving for them. And so we would have an affiliate model with them on a discount on their services, right? If it also is a value add to our customers, right? It's like, okay, you probably should go over here because you're going to need a lot more assistance once you're done with us, right? And yeah, that's going to be part of the affiliate model that's going to be baked in. Now we're still in the early stages developing those relationships since the MVP just came out, but I've already warmed up several companies out of the many that I'm going to be reaching out to. That's a good question. I love that.
Cool. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Ken.
I hogged a lot
I'm
of
so
time.
proud of you
Time.
guys.
I'll step off now.
DreamscribeAI. I personally will sign up to publish my next book only with your service. So I will give you my customer feedback afterwards. Amazing. Congratulations on your successful pitch. And we are moving to the next pitch. And next, I want to invite to the stage AxonAll, the full-suite digital luxury travel partner, and its founder, Melanie Suntal. From UK, joining us, Melanie. You can now unmute yourself, share your screen.
Thank you for that,
welcome. We support women founders, so welcome.
Thank you. Let me get my screen up. While I'm doing that, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I'm Melanie. I'm the founder of AxonAll. Before we start off, I would like you to take a moment and I would like you to think about, what does luxury mean to you? How does it make you feel when you hear the word luxury? What springs to your mind or heart even as soon as you hear the word? I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen, Melanie.
Perfect. So as you contemplate, let me introduce you to the company. We are a full suite digital travel company designed for luxury travels. We offer end-to-end travel solutions under one roof. So we are here to tackle three big problems, really. The biggest problem is that the current state of the luxury travel booking is extremely fragmented. And if you ever try to put together a unique holiday with experiences online, that's a nightmare. You have to visit multiple platforms, and even then you will face like lots of complications, billing issues. Despite this best of us, we find ourselves in tourist traps in those destinations that's unknown to us. Also, there's no digital platform that offers access to authentic local experiences. And another thing is there's a huge demand for sustainability and eco-conscious sort of options. But unfortunately, the reality is that the industry just hasn't caught up yet. We are seeing more and more luxury travelers struggling to find avenues to meet these expectations. So these are serious problems, gaps, and frustrations that affluent travelers face on day-to-day basis, really. I mean, this is the ideal time to talk about this because most of you just probably returning from your well-deserved holidays. Think about how was your holiday planning went? How long have you spent on researching, booking, coordinating your itinerary? You probably have first-hand experience on this. I mean, 95% of the time, this is how it looks like. I mean, at least this is how mine looks like. Start from pounds, ended up in yens, and all those complex the plannings. But imagine a world being able to book your private jet, hotels, from the best excursions to vineyards. Of course, a private chef or a private chef or a butler, if you wish. Imagine this end-to-end experience in one platform you trust. So we are here to solve this problem. Our promise is to deliver high-touch service and end-to-end experience all under one roof. If you travel with AxonAll, this is how your next journey is going to look like. So please do travel with us next time when you travel. Now let's talk about the numbers. Globally, the luxury travel market is huge, worth about 1.6 trillion. In 2023, it's still growing. What's even more exciting is the online luxury travel market is expected to grow about 12.6, as you see on the screen, and through the next decade. So there's a very clear shift happening, and we clearly we actually at this moment having this conversation is at the right place, right time, doing the right things. So also we want to tap into tap into isn't just about travel. It's about creating personalized, sustainable journeys that really meets the growing demand of this discerning travelers. So like I said, the market is massive and we are positioning ourselves to capture a small, a valuable piece of it. We are looking at 30 million in revenue, and that's just a tiny fraction to capture. If you look at it, 0.0487 really of the market share, at least in the beginning. So this isn't about being a small player. It's about really scaling intelligently and strategically, and of course delivering the real value to the discerning customers. So if you as we look at the product, I probably be able to show you my screen again. I do have a small demo. I'm not sure if you can see still.
Yeah, let's do the demo, of course.
Perfect. So, I mean, this is just this as we look at the product, I would like to, this is just a teaser. This is mainly for the investors and for the internal team, just informational only. So we just, first and foremost, we have a very clean, simple search engine. The search engine is optimized for AI. If we have your profile already, it will automatically recognize your preferences, history, and make smart recommendations. So I just wanted to show you. I hope it works. Usually when you really want to show, there we are. So I mean, we just, because we really going to, like, there are AI platforms do the itineraries, but really they're just there for the sake of it, not really serving a purpose. We do have 24/7 sort of virtual concierge with AI as well. And these are like well integrated and intuitive. If I may. So as you see again right now, this is just the start, and you know, the backend we are still working on. As you see, the AI will sort of do the trip, and of course we are working on like backend automating the backend, so the AI can automatically book the entire trip, including flights, hotels, make amendments, make any cancellations, etc. I mean, the other thing I want to showcase really is the sustainability. This is really close to my heart and something I live and breathe by. So we have offset options on the site itself and the carbon wallet management. So it's also integrate with the dynamic AI, and you can choose which offset program that you want to partner with. And also, while we are at it, allow me to extend a warm invitation to Inner Circle, and including all the investors, founders. This is a VIP program, will cost about 10K, but for now, so this is my first crowd, so this is exclusive and invite only. Do put your name forward if you like to travel in style. So I just might have to go back to my next screen. So this is just a very brief, trying to keep it with the timing. I think I'm still okay with the timing.
Yes, you're fine.
Perfect. So I'm just going to skip this because we briefly looked at the demo, and of course this is what AI does really. And I mean, our business model is simple, built for growth. So we are tapping into multiple revenue streams, booking commissions, membership fees, and even like custom travel planning services. So the membership, the loyalty platform is something we are really pushing from the get-go, and that's something we really believe in as well. I just want to take a little bit of more time and talk about the concept, because this is something we are really passionate about. Virtuoso is the largest network of luxury travel advisors. So the problem is they're brilliant at what they're doing, but they are over-reliance on human advisors, which can limit the scalability. However, they're not doing bad for themselves. They are doing about 32 billion turnover annually. And the American Express Travels, this is one of our direct concept. Their strength is highly personalized services. However, they have a limited service offering and limited to only the members, Amex members. Relays and shuttles focus on unique luxury experiences, smaller portfolio, and then of course the smaller luxury hotels, again, curated selection of boutique luxury hotels, smaller scale operations, limited offering. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, so this is an interesting one. So this would have been something that really mirroring us, but recently they're very, I mean, although their service and personalization is similar to us, however, their technology, they don't invest on large scale technology integrations. So they also went through a recent acquisition with 53 million, which is with just 1,500 product and services. And now they're with Hyatt. Very interesting to watch how they integrate these two companies. So comparing with all the competitors, we are the first to offer hybrid model that blends AI with human concierge services. That and also the technology that we offer is something that no one else doing at this scale at this point of time. So here the competitive advantage, without repeating myself too much, the biggest thing is giving an unprecedented visibility to destination-driven, local, authentic businesses, because right now these businesses don't have any visibility whatsoever on the large-scale global digital platforms. I mean, at the heart of our company, there are like 3 key values that I'm governed by. That is sustainability, supporting local communities, and hyper-personalizations. So these are our guiding principles. We want to change how people travel and connect, because because the travel is no longer just about where you go. It's about how you get there, how you impact along the way, and it's about how you what is the legacy that you leave behind with these communities and the destination you travel to. So we are, as a company, crafting unforgettable, purpose-driven journeys that resonates on a deeper level, really. Very quickly about the commercial strategy. This is a very high-level plan. I have a commercial background as well. So we do have a very strong commercial strategy, but some of them I cannot really disclose right now. We know that competition is very fierce in the market. So all in all, we will slowly dial up the heat when we go towards the launch. Launch is happening in January. This is the team, and as you see, we're coming with. I've led 7 luxury brands for EMEA, and of course I want to talk about CTO. That's my right hand. I actually struggle a lot to get him from the competitor, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. So he came with lots of insights, which is great. And we do have a small technical team with including 4 members. We are small, very stretched, but a mighty team. On this slide, just a snapshot. The luxury market, as you can see, is really thriving, and the numbers prove it. Also, with the millennials and Gen Z making up 61% by like 2 years' time, that means they will look for services like us rather than going to traditional travel agents like Virtuoso or like even other travel agents we looked at. We've done about 13 months of in-depth research, analyzing larger databases. I mean, the numbers that you see here on the left-hand side, 750,000, these are actual luxury consumers, regular consumers. So these insights really steering us, building our product, and also, very importantly, it's informed our commercial strategy. So starting with the MVP this month, we are kicking off. Towards the next month, we will have the proper branding done. Then we are planning to launch, soft launch in January 2025. We've done this research because I think it's extremely important, because for a business like us, our commercial strategy, go-to-market strategy is something that really need to get it right. So, I mean, I try to give you lots of information within a small amount of time. I mean, I ask you a question about when we started, what luxury means to you. For me, luxury is being able to get something so brilliant that I didn't even know that I wanted it in the first place. And it is a mindset. It's rare, it's unique, it's one of a kind. So, I mean, if it's you, would love to continue this conversation.
Amazing, Melanie. I want to say you are a living example of, I think you're the right person to bring this conversations about luxury, because you have this amazing energy that I want to think about luxury and luxury travel, and definitely will check out that offer to plan the next vacation with AI on your platform. And we have so many questions for you. I'm so happy to see that you guys are interested in this exciting startup. And let's start from somebody who hasn't asked questions yet, and that is Duncan Davidson. Please.
Thank you, Melanie. Very interesting. I am probably a user of your application, so I am so
How about you, Duncan?
I really have only one direction to go in, which is your business model. You get 12%, but normally you can get that out of the trade, not out of the customer. So, put it differently, I assume you're able to find really good discounts and better pricing and all that, and the 12% is buried within what appears to the customer as a better price.
Yeah, so Duncan, we looked at, so when we look at the comp set, I've looked at broader market comp set, for example, like these hotel major players like Marriott.com, Aman, Hyatt, Six Senses, IHG, etc., and also Airbnb, Lux, like, you know, the indirect comp set. So we've seen Mr. and Mrs., for example, charging about 15% commission on the booking, and Booking.com 10 to 15% as well. So we wanted to like dynamically price. We are going after the dynamic pricing with our model. But I mean, you have a valid feedback. This is something I'm going to take back and think about it, and also like have a look at look into that with my team really. So what we found so far, I mean, even the 12% is like really low for luxury. The services that we could provide, but we wanted to start small, and yeah, I hope I answered your question.
Well, yeah, I mean, you should look into it. What I'm thinking is Robinhood was a great success because free to trade. It was getting paid by giving data into the system. You wouldn't do it that way, but you may be able to work out a structure where it's perceived to be lower price at premium properties. One of the things that occurs to me when you went through your presentation, you pick some trips like going to the Galapagos or Machu Picchu or seeing the pyramids. Over time, you should be able to develop a really good database. In fact, probably could use ChatGPT to help you of what are the best ways to do those trips. In other words, you should be able to get smarter and smarter. So a second part of this is, rather than a human travel agent having their own experience, you have a much broader experience base to provide. You should be, that to me would be a major selling point to this. I want to go to Machu Picchu, see the pink dolphins in the Amazon. What do I do? And then you come up with very, very good itineraries based on a lot of experience.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really good feedback. Thank you, Duncan. And the insights. And also, I'm looking forward to take you to Machu Picchu with AxonAll.
Maybe I'll use it for that.
Yeah, it was a good luck to attend our pitch lunch today. Kate Teledes, please.
Hi, Melanie. Thank you for the presentation. Just to dig in a little bit more on the business model, is this membership based, or I can book just a one-off trip?
You could book one-off trip, but because the personalization is something that we are really pushing for, we would so for example, how the system works is so we have a lot of small businesses that you don't necessarily have access, right? So for example, if you come to London, you don't want necessarily go to like a Parisian Michelin star restaurant. You want to maybe you want to do that first time, second time round, but if you're a frequent traveler, you want to go and see the chippy shop, like, you know, where's the locals hang out, where's the pub. So those kind of services, if you're a one-off, if you don't book the major product and the transport, you won't be able to see these services. But if you're a member, if you log in from your profile, you will be able to see the small businesses as well. So that's a model that we want to push for getting people to sign up to the loyalty.
And how much is the membership? Is it like annual membership?
So it's an elite membership, and within that we have 500. That is like a 10K. So Aman hotels charging like 100K per year, but we're going to start with 10K annually, and it's like a 500, very exclusive, and it's invites only. But the whole platform has other tiers like silver, gold, platinum, so on.
Yeah, because my next quick question was like, how do you define the luxury travel? Like, is there a budget limit, certain profile of people?
So, I mean, anyone who come in and like, because we will have luxury, like vetted properties. So like as I have like, worked in luxury industry for like 15 years, sort of I am like aware of as well, and my team, what's really defined as luxury. We do have an auditing criteria which goes into luxury brackets. So we will have villas, hotels, resorts, and lodges and safaris, etc. So but these goes into boxes of the auditings that we will do internally. And when we onboard the businesses, they have to go through the auditing, really.
And last question, like, do you start with a specific region, or what areas are you covering?
Well, Kate, that's a really interesting question. I mean, US is a strategic move. I'm here speaking to you. It's because I really want to work with this sister, sort of having that partnership. And my consumers, my clientele coming from US, China, and the Middle East, really. And of course, Europe now started to pick up. So the US is extremely strategic, and that's why I'm already doing the sales. Sales already started. So yeah, I would love to have that partnership with US.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate.
I was always wondering why some hotels have 4 stars and other hotels have 5 stars, while they both look very luxury to me. So maybe there should be some criteria, right? Anyway, so we are moving forward with questions. And Emilio, Escorting Fuel Capital, please.
Yeah, Melanie, thank you so much for your presentation. A couple of questions. What role will social media influencers and celebrities will play in your strategy? This is one question, and the other question is, I think you mentioned during the presentation that you have created relationship with luxury brands, like for example airlines, hotels, and exclusive resorts, no, just as a unique experience providers, if I'm not mistaken. And regarding this last point, what type of potential loyalty programs you can offer through your company?
So Emilio, in terms of social media, our organic and the content marketing strategy. So like I said, when we come to the market, we really wanted to come as a strategically rather than just come in and trying to overtake. That will set us for failure. So we want to do very intelligently. And our go-to-market strategy in terms of content marketing, using influencers or like Instagrammers and like, the PR strategy, really working with the press. We will, like when we go close to the launch, we will work with a lot of press, PR, Forbes magazines, Condé Nast, etc. Like really, really pushing our press. And also, the one thing I'm really worried about, the brand equity. So building a business is very difficult, but building a brand is, believe me, so difficult. So for this, because this is for like a discerning clients and customers who actually high net worth individuals. And I don't want to have an influencer going around filming and really like tagging the company. Eventually, yes, that will come to that stage. But in the beginning, the messaging we get across is really important. But we do have some influencers that we wanted to really tackle and nail down. But I'm really going after the thinking process behind it's Forbes, Condé Nast, and like those magazines, Vogue. Working with partnerships with them, and it's even Louis Vuitton, and like having a partnership and really like being in the space, having inside access to these like modeling shows and etc.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. The brand equity is very important. Once you are very loyal to a brand, it's very difficult to change it. So I agree, totally agree. Yeah, thank you.
And brands are going after AI really seriously. I remember that exhibition I attended in Miami. Every luxury brand has some AI feature or was blockchain, but they're definitely moving in that direction. Next question from Riyadh Syndicate K. Granwald, please.
Hi. Yeah, interesting. I'm familiar with some of the more traditional players in the market. Some of those you already mentioned as well. I'm wondering what the mix is going to be. I mean, I get the argument that there's a younger generation of wealth coming up all the time, and they're obviously more digital and more grounded in that realm. But I do believe for the really high-end services, that personal component, you can't just AI that, right? So what's the mix going to be if that is a question that makes sense? And then also, I'm not familiar with that industry, but I'm curious if there's any kind of measure you can put on in what it will cost you to acquire that client.
So, okay, it's a very good question. It's something I think about day and night as well. So it's about, for us, the biggest challenge as a company to strike this perfect balance between human aspect of it and the technology aspect of it. We shouldn't forget we still have a great percentage of previous generations, or I would say like not Gen Y or millennials, who would like to talk to a person. Sometimes I like to talk to a person, and like even a younger generation would love to do that. So for us, this is why we are offering the hybrid model. We are not just saying, oh, you are completely technical, like, you are just AI. So we will have like a sort of a concierge, a personal concierge assisting, but there will be a bit of a fee on top of that if the personal concierge is assisting the clients, like Virtuso, like Amex, and it'll cost a little bit, just a slightly bit. It depends on the request, really. Yeah. That's actually something I think about often as well. Striking this balance is going to be difficult, and it's going to be challenging for us, to be honest with you.
Thank you, Melanie. And the last
Thanks.
question from Samira Rao.
Yep,
you.
and I think my last question was what Kay asked earlier on the second part of the question, which is one of the hardest things that I've seen is to put a two-sided business together. Having the supply and the demand, if you will, acquiring customers on both sides of the network is a really hard thing. I spent a decade at PayPal, and even for a company like PayPal, it's hard. And there is a lot of competition, right? If you think about it, it's Google on one side. Like I put my itinerary together on Google and does a pretty good job, right? Like, and same thing with Airbnb experiences and what have you. How deep have you guys gone in thinking through that, and what you would do differently to acquire customers on both sides and compete with the Googles and the Airbnbs of the world?
So Samira, thank you for that question. Actually, when we did this market research, we identified luxury consumers, but if you allow me saying this, even within the luxury consumers, there are segments. So there are 4 key segments, like, you have high net worth individuals, you have the new wealth creation, like, so we have these 4 categories. So something that I've started doing, talking to these exclusive clubs in London, that I'm talking to Annabelle's. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that's like a really exclusive club, and like striking a partnership with, like, really working together, and their members can really travel with us. Getting that base clientele is sort of like the hardest, and also we want that to be quality rather than just like acquiring from here and there. So yeah, I'm working on the partnerships right now. Thank you, Samir.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Melanie. And I want to say that we have 3 more amazing companies today. So we need to optimize this, and in order to make it in time, so we either need to limit the number of questions. But on the other side, I am really so happy to see that our judges are so engaged and have so much feedback and so interested. So I don't really want to cut it. And I just want to ask everyone if you could allow additional 15 minutes, so we could do not limit the number of questions. So if you could stay longer, but also pitching companies, I encourage you to pitch faster and to answer questions faster as well. Anyways, with that, we are moving to our next pitching company, and that is exciting SaaS AI startup, ReconfigAI, strategic workforce transformation with AI. And I want to invite its founder, Tim DeBoer. Welcome, Tim.
Thank you so much, Tanya, and good afternoon from the Netherlands, Europe. Company's based in Oslo, but I live in the Netherlands. So we do AI transformation at scale. A lot has already been spoken about AI, but still many business leaders are struggling to prepare their workforce strategically for the new era. In that picture you can see there are generative AI agents and humans working alongside, and that's kind of the future that everybody's talking about. But specific questions from business leaders are not yet answered. If you have Like I'm working in the Middle East with a large distributor. They've got 5,000 people. I can calculate that I could do the work with 2,000 people, but how is that going to work out? And that's where we come. So we take business leaders by the hand through our software as a service platform. So it's highly scalable, it's highly leveraged. So we're not consultants, but we are consultants that have built a tool to do this. And we help those business leaders to create a roadmap for their organization. So just to introduce, my father wanted me to study something complicated, so I graduated as a computer scientist, but I like people better, so I escaped into the world of sales and marketing and later become a general manager in several companies. I'm also a C-level transformation advisor for large companies. I'm really proud of my team, Professor Nikolai Warren. He's internationally recognized in the field of organization design, so he's published several books.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Tim. Are you sharing your screen? All right.
I am screen sharing.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Apologies.
So on the picture to the right, you see here Professor Nikolai Warren. He's at the Business School of Oslo, but he's published several books. And he's also recognized as an expert in the organization design field. So Kim, he's our chief product. So he leads the technical product development, and I'll show you how the product works in a moment. But he's really an expert in enterprise architecture and AI solutions. And we have Melanie Chow. She is an experienced marketeer and growth hacker, originally from China. She did her MBA in the Netherlands. And then we have Tore, who did his PhD at Stanford. He's a serial entrepreneur, created 2 successful startups. One of them was SimVision, that has been used by NASA to really do complex organizations for space projects. So quite senior team, ranging from myself focusing mostly on sales and senior level consultancy, Nikolai, our science and strategic officer, and then we have quite a senior team. So what do? Well, basically, we answer the questions that our clients are asking. And that's like, what's the total AI potential for my organization? So McKinsey or publishing houses and everybody is talking about the end of certain professions, and everybody's saying that 20% of all lawyers will go without a job. But I made this in italics because it's really, you need to be precise. You need to be really precise, and we're working with our clients to really answer that question. Not even what are the jobs in my organization, but what are the activities, because jobs consist of activities and organizations consist of units. So you really have to drill down in the specifics of your organizations. And when I present this to business leaders, they all say, let me try this out because I need answers for my shareholders. So there's a lot of pressure on senior leadership. And the thing is, 75% of knowledge workers are actually doing it. Each of us here in the room is having something like Gemini or ChatGPT, and we are experiencing at the individual level productivity gains. Those productivity gains are not yet translated to bottom line in large organizations. So the next question is, how do I redesign my organization to be more efficient, but also to create meaningful jobs for my people? And then, of course, it needs to be actionable. So where do I start and how successfully scale the transformation of my workforce? So we see that the biggest challenge is not technical, it's organizational, and that's where we come in. So what do? We provide a detailed simulation using synthetic data, and I'll come to that in a moment, of your organization to calculate the potential of generative AI. So it's really about, these are the number of hours at your disposal. These could be done through generative AI, and these numbers are staggering, and you're really looking at transformative power. We identify the optimal division of labor between generative AI agents and human team members, and therefore we also create suggestions for what people should be focused on. So certain things AI cannot do yet, and probably not in the near future. So that's something that's left for people. And then we have a customized roadmap to engage stakeholders, because never in any organization there is one ruler that says we're going to do it like this. The business leader needs to involve his stakeholders to overcome inertia. We need to have a plan to automate tasks, augment jobs, and reconfigure the total organizational structure. For those that are watching this in the recording, you could just pause and read what the reconfig methodology is about. The software consists of 4 modules: diagnose, define, discover, and design. But for the sake of time, I just leave it to you to read it. Basically, reconfig creates a comprehensive digital replica of your organization. We call that an organizational digital twin. You may know the word digital twin from the industry, where you have big plans, and in China every city is being represented as a digital twin to manage it. What we do is we create an organizational digital twin for the organization, and that allows to explore different scenarios, make informed decisions, ensuring a smoother organizational transformation. This is a screenshot how it looks with our advanced data visualization and analytics. So just jumping into some examples, this is a simulation of an organization. I've removed here the name of the client for privacy. So you see that based on a profile, based on publicly available information, we can generate roles. And just for using it as a tool, we come up with names. So here there's an executive, Lutz Schuler. He doesn't exist in reality. It's made up through the AI, but he's the executive and he's leading his team with finance, etc. Now, this is something that I worked on last week. We had an organization. They say they want to build a direct model instead of a wholesale model. So we are now representing their organization. I got here 34 employees in the ODT, and they represent a total of 18,712 FTE. The total work capacity, it's always amazing to see these big numbers. It's almost 3 million hours per month. Out of those 3 million hours, you could almost 50% transform into AI potential. So in other words, you can free up almost 46% of your workforce to do more meaningful work. That's a lot. So this is why large airlines, large pharmaceutical companies are now talking with us. How do I do this transformation? Well, we do it through assessing the potential of all the activities. So this is just an example from people in corporate affairs, recruitment. So in this case, you talk about managing end-to-end recruitment. The system says it can be done 60%. The question is always, why is that? Well, the system gives you the answer here on the right side. But if you don't agree, you can also lower it because you might already be very advanced. So there's less potential to even improve. You can make it higher if you think it's better. But the beauty of the system is, because this is something everybody can do. But what we can do is we have now the synthetic data and the time utilization throughout the whole organization. So we can also look at how many hours are that. So this is translating to 4,450 hours per month. Now, this is something that nobody can do at this moment, because nobody can do that synthetic simulation of a large organization. And we are building upon that now. So we have here the various functions and activities, and here we have the specific units. Then you can drill down and you can say, well, HR strategy is involved in recruitment. And they're talking about here 2,131 hours. You can also say, well, what are then the generative AI agents specifically? And here we have an AI agent that will save you almost 130 euros per month. And it's doing automated job postings and advertisements. And we have automated resume screening and shortlisting. Now, what do you do with the people that were doing this previously? Well, they will be suggested by the system, involved in enhanced employer branding, so focusing on strengthening the organizational brand, creating compelling narratives, engaging content, etc. So this is really a people business. It's really leveraging human creativity and interpersonal skills, the candidate experience improvement, so really being one-on-one as human beings. And here the system came up with diversity and inclusion recruitment programs. So this is also, if you look at all those hours available and you're the leader of a business, you need to think, how am I going to leverage human intelligence to be complementary to all the artificial intelligence. Well, that's in a nutshell what we do. What do our clients think about this? This is now my good friend, but he started as a client, Mohammed Masri. He's the Chief Transformation Officer of one of the largest companies in Saudi Arabia. He says, with the power of analytics and AI, Reconfig helped us to overcome internal politics. That's something I didn't mention yet, but if you look at the screen and you see those numbers, you don't think about your own pension. You still may have 5 years to go, so it's in your interest not to change anything. But with the numbers and all the analytics, people tend to look more at the content than at their personal role. So optimizing efficiency comes second, and defining a future-ready operating model. This is a deputy minister in Canada that we worked for. So the AI-powered tool was extremely helpful in visualizing the current organization and develop the alternatives. And Dr. Premnet is a great people manager, but he did not have a good structure in his organization in India. So we helped him to build that structure and make his people more productive. Now, where do we play? We are at the intersection of AI transformation, organization design, strategic workforce planning, and we actually are in that specific overlapping field of data analytics. We are uniquely providing a simulation of the organization supporting AI transformation, and it's prescriptive analytics. And I don't like 5 trillion or 20 trillion markets. I like to be specific. So we're talking about here specifically this market that we're targeting, and then you're talking about a total addressable market of around 4 billion. So it's big enough. But if you really Google and you see how much there is in AI transformation, you get trillions and trillions. But we are very specifically positioning ourselves here. Now, this is our go-to-market strategy. We do a lot of education, presentations. We work with industry associations like the European Organization Design Forum, the Organization Design Community. This is Nikolai's book that we leverage. So a lot of partnerships and a lot of also consultancies that call us up. They want to do this. So here are a few examples of the projects. But then our business model is, of course, to turn a project into recurring revenue. And that's the name of the game that we're playing. So we need to initiate with projects. So we have a small consultancy arm, but we embed the continuous improvements through our ODT, through the software as a service. And ultimately, it's our vision that we will gather so much data that we can also monetize the accumulated data. So that's like a Google of organization design in the era of artificial intelligence. So distribution of revenue, and that's projection 2028. We operate on a highly scalable SaaS PaaS model. So 84% is SaaS, so that's typically software through the cloud. The accumulated data will represent initially 7%, and we have a small consultancy business that is currently bigger relatively, but it will be less than 10% of our total revenue. So last year, we did a little bit less than 300,000 in revenue, so we're building up. This year, we'll do a little bit over 400, and then based on the licenses that we're selling, 2025, you see the hockey stick already appearing, and then ultimately 28 with only a few people. So we're not talking about hundreds of people. We're talking about a workforce at Reconfig of maybe around 70 to 100 people, so highly leveraged. That's 20 million. You can see that the breakdown here, you can see the margin is higher than 7%, and that's because it's a SaaS model. Capital required, 1 million seed, and then we want to do Series A to further roll out our marketing and sales. So I have an offer and I have an ask. If you have a portfolio company that you want to try this out, we are very efficient, so I can offer this for free for one of your pilot companies. So if you would like to see what's the AI potential of one of the companies that you're involved with, and of course, I'm asking for 1 million seed to further develop our customer onboarding to make it really a product that can be used by others than ourselves. So we have a lot of consultants, but at this moment, my product should take one step further to really roll it out worldwide. Thank you.
Amazing team. Thank you so much. Congratulations on such a breakthrough. So many insightful discoveries AI is doing these days. I remember a few years ago in Silicon Valley, we were organizing this digital transformation programs for global organizations. And all these digital transformation services were provided by humans. And now this is a living proof AI is replacing humans, so we don't need any more digital transformation experts, right? Anyway, so you have so many questions. Eric Paglia, please, because we haven't heard from you yet today. You can unmute yourself.
Sure. Great presentation, Tim. So can you walk me through what does onboarding look like? How much information is needed to help facilitate like germane information on the back end? What stats? You said publicly available information, but for smaller companies, what resources or information are they going to have to marshal to put in to have meaningful outcomes and outputs?
Yeah, so thanks. There are actually two onboardings here. One is for consultants that can do this. So we have training programs and we're working with consultancies across the world, and I need to explain them how the system works. That's one onboarding. The other thing that you're asking for is if you have a company X, I can simply put in the URL and the system will accumulate enough data, but you can also override it, because last week I was working with a German company. They only had a worldwide URL. So I got the totally wrong direction. So the managing director says, no. I said, fine. Give me your business profile, and based on the business profile, the system can generate the key activities and it can create the key roles. So basically what I only need is your profile, like you are in luxury travel or you're in book publishing or whatever. And then I can tell you, like if you're a large publisher and you have maybe 20,000 employees, what are the key activities? How can you simulate them? And you can just go as deep as you want. What we can also then do is we have the activities and we have the roles, then the system provides a synthetic suggestion to divide the time. So if you're the CEO, you're probably talking with shareholders, you're probably involved with the executive team, etc. So your day, your 40 hours a week or 60 hours a week is distributed over the various activities. And now I can do the proposal of how can we leverage AI to make yourself more efficient?
Two quick follow-ups. So on the AI recommendations, are you recommending like actual applications or AI solutions? Or are you just broadly saying this is something that AI could handle?
We are not going as far as to say you need this specific application like Sixth Sense in AI, market research, or these kind of things. We say, this is what your workforce should look like. I'm a software engineer and sometimes I get a question, can you also build it for me? Well, I could, but that's not what I want to do. My business model is helping business leaders design and project their future workforce.
Just a suggestion on some of these larger silos of real buyback opportunity of time and human capital, you might have a rev share opportunity with some of the larger players if you're funneling potential customers to them. So that's just kind of one thought there. And then there might be a spin-off business where there is customizable solutions on offer as well. And then last question on the million, you didn't say like use of proceeds and the structure of the investment itself.
Now we can talk about valuation to company, but we were worth when we started 1 million, and I'm now looking for a capitalization of 5 million. So 20% is 1 million.
Okay. Thanks.
Next question, Jonathan Davidson, please, and then Emilio.
Yeah, I must confess, early on in my career, after Re-engineering the Corporation came out, I was in a large consulting firm, re-engineering corporations. Some of these projects, like a couple phone companies, were $100 million in size as a consulting project. We followed the methodology, which you seem to be capturing quite well in the AI. So just really a comment more than a question, because I think Eric was right. You could sell this, I think, to all the top big consulting firms, and they would use it to charge similar outrageous prices with half the people. and make a much bigger profit till competition drove that out of the system. And then I'm wondering if your business model would evolve. I mean, once they have this tool and use it and create models of companies, they're not going to kick you out. The company may or may not need the model, but the consulting firm's going to need it. And then you have an ancillary business to sell it off to investment banks or people trying to do restructuring or M&A or LBOs or other things, buyouts.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if trying to sell it to a company as a recurring revenue thing may be hard. Maybe over time you develop benchmarking data and therefore they keep it as a benchmarking tool. I don't know, but I just think your earlier impact, just follow Eric's lead. Go talk to Anderson Consulting and down the line.
Yeah, very briefly, Tanya, is that okay? But I'm a late co-founder. So when I met these people that were actually the real founders, I was thinking exactly the same thing. I phoned up my friends at McKinsey, Deloitte, etc. They were constantly asking questions and they were really picking my brain. They didn't buy anything because they are afraid. So I pivoted in my sales strategy. I went to the boutiques and they really saw an opportunity to do more with less people. Because if you're a partner in McKinsey, you earn like 3 to 5 million per year, but that's not your own billables. You're leveraging those armies of people. So at a certain moment, I hope you and I myself are right. McKinsey will be forced to do this, but for the moment, I'm competing based on price because we're more efficient. And I'm partnering with boutiques in the UK, in Germany, in San Francisco. We have one partner across the world. But these are not, at this moment at least, the largest ones because they have too much to lose.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Go scare the big guys and they have either forced to buy you or they become the people you take out. Anyway, very interesting work. Thank you.
Such insightful feedback we get today from our investors. Thank you so much. And please stay till the end because we have so many exciting, 2 more exciting companies for you today. Emilio Escarcim, your final question for Tim.
Tim, you hear me well? Yes. Yeah. Okay, Tim, thank you so much for the presentation. Very interesting project, actually. I think since the majority of the business is SaaS, I think the KPIs you follow are the SaaS KPIs. But how do you evaluate, the effectiveness of the technology in enhancing the workforce productivity and engagement? This is one question. The other thing is, the uncertainty and fear and resistance among the employees regarding the technology and the impact on their roles. So if this is something to look at it carefully. And how will you communicate the benefits and the challenges of your company or the technology adoption to the employees and the stakeholders? Because some of the employees, they don't understand at all, the benefits.
Yeah. So let me first ask the last one because that's the hardest one. If you're a business leader and you have to tell your people that you currently have a workforce of 5,000 and you could do the same with 2,000. I'm actually in that situation now with the 2 sheikhs with my clients, and I'm talking with them about what matters most. They say, well, it's the 3rd generation and these are the heirs, so the sons of the sheikhs, and they need to be involved, but they need to create new business opportunities for the people. So I'm looking at a lot of people that will not be employed anymore in the businesses we know it. So we need to find alternative employment because there is a responsibility from the employer side, because this hurts. I'm looking somebody in the eye and I'm showing them a screen and I'm a cold-blooded scientist, but we're talking about families. So the sheikh says, what am I going to do with all those people? So that's why we built the system we did. Like, we also see the opportunities to reallocate based on the talent. Now, that's not a message you can just convey immediately. So this is a transformation that we take. It will take 2 years, which is good for my business because now I have a recurring revenue in the organizational digital twin for at least 2 years. And I know it's not going to be 2 years. It's going to be 10 years because after the whole transformation has been finalized, there is another one. So based on your metrics, my metric is I need to stay with the ODT. I need to have the recurring revenue and I need to build my business like building upon it. So my churn is around 20%. So you always lose a client. My customer acquisition is really important. So that cannot be too high. And therefore, as Duncan said, we have also an indirect business model, because I will never have a sales force that's big enough to touch all the companies in the world. I need to go with consultancies. So a lot of the sales cycle is offloaded to them. But that's why I also need a perfect product. And that's why I need seed, because currently I can use the product and you will not even see what's not working. But if somebody else is going to do it, the product needs to be monkey proof. And that's why we need the 1 million.
Yeah, the question, I think I think Duncan and Eric mentioned about the consultancy firms. I think in my experience, I work in Middle East for one of the governments, and all the companies are very keen about the efficiency of their employees. You cannot imagine how big are the human resources departments in those countries. So I think your business will fit very well, including from Aramco to the you can name it. I can help you, by the way, on that. So thank you so much for the presentation. It's very interesting. Yeah.
Good.
Chatting to Duncan that yes, we will be sharing the video recording of this speech event for those of you who will have to run, but I encourage you to stay for the next speech. And thank you, Tim DeBoer, scary person who wants to help AI to take employees' jobs. I want to invite our next speaker today. And this is OrcanaAI, another organizational AI, SaaS AI company, enabling business leaders to talk to their data, and its founder, Arjun Bidesi. Please, Arjun, welcome. You can share your screen.
Thank you so much, Tanya. Hi, team. Sharing my screen. Can you all see?
Yes, we can see it.
Awesome. Welcome to Orcana. The goal is to enable business leaders to strategize by conversing with data. Over the past few decades, the world of business has warmed up to the idea of data being the new oil, but there have been barely any technological advancements that can really build engines to propel this business. How do we know this? Because business leaders, even today, struggle to derive insights from data. Either the BI dashboards are very static or inflexible to answer a question, which is a slight variation of what's otherwise being tracked. The data teams are very stretched, and you have to drop everything that you're working on to answer an ad hoc question that is coming in from a business owner or a manager who's having to answer those questions to their potential bosses. And all of this requires a umpteen number of apps, right? From where is the dashboard sitting to how do I convey the story and everything in the middle. Now, we know this because over the past 15 years, I have solved this particular problem about 10,000 times, if not more, purely by dropping the interesting work that I'm doing because there's a burning question that needs to be answered within that day or within the next few days. What we want to do is change that and empower business leaders to not have to jump through hoops to get an insight from data that's already sitting in their databases. Bringing to you Orcana, which enables business leaders to just ask any question or analysis need in natural language, just the way they think, and wherever they are, which is Slack, Teams, or anywhere else where they're collaborating, so that Orcana can understand your question, generate a befitting answer, and also include a visual or a list, depending on what best answers that question. The key aspect about why Orcana stands out is it's in-house AI engine that delivers the analytics capability. This has been a very meticulously designed engine which identifies and emulates how a world-class analyst would answer this question, reflecting on a whole lot of frameworks that I and a bunch of all data scientists typically use to answer a question in a structured manner. We only use GenAI for natural language ability and for nothing else. We've done a whole lot of experiments to see can GenAI run data analysis, which is commercial ready with reliable and explicable results, and it has failed miserably and will continue to fail purely because the design of GPTs are not set up to answer or analyze rows and columns of data. How do we know this? Here's yet another proof. We try to stack a few basic and complex capabilities, expose the same data to GPT-4o, the latest and the greatest that's there, and Orcana. We've given GPT a fair shot by including the prompt of how to run the analysis, right from basic structures to complex analysis. And we have the prompts there. We can definitely show that. And then try to answer a few set of questions and see how GPT versus Orcana perform. Something as basic as give me the total sales of a particular company is something GPT can pick up, and so can Orcana. But the minute it starts failing is when a real life incident comes our way, where the business owner or the leader wants to really understand for a particular brand and a particular category, what does that sale look like? And of course, this is like the most relatively a more basic set of question that someone might want to ask. But GPT fails to answer that question because the minute that question is asked, it tries to look for, let me look for a column which has more than 100 mg of CBD as a filter or a particular column, which doesn't really fly because real data doesn't have that. The way we have designed the data retrieval framework, which is proprietary, really helps define an intricate filter criteria so that the 100 mg CBDs somewhere lying in these product names can be picked up accurately every time. Now, with that, you probably get a sense of retrieval, which is the first step of any analysis done 100% accurately because of the way we've set up the framework. The next set of questions would be as simple as, can you just draw a sales trend for a particular brand category given a time period? Again, GPT fails there because there is nothing called live resin cartridges as a column which says yes, no. It's trying to find where that is, and it says, hey, I'm unable to display because there is no data with live resin cartridges. Same data, same prompt at Orcana generates that result saying, hey, this is your spend, this is your revenue for each of the months. This is an extra set of nugget on the share of market. The top 3 selling products, which is still a component of what sales trends are, also generates a visual in a Google spreadsheet that can be clicked and accessed in case you want to port it into a PowerPoint deck, etc. Now with this, we've accomplished that data retrieval can't be done by 4.0 reliably, nor can simple analysis. And by very natural extension, complex analysis, which ideally would be structured and can be repeatable but very intricate, are far from something that GPT 4.0 or any of such products can deliver. So here, when you ask that question, GPT says, hey, I've looked at your sales, looked at 5 other companies with similar sales, and this is your competition. That is so irrelevant when compared to business leaders really wanting to know competition, which is, I operate in these 3 categories and show me competition in these 3 categories because I probably don't even operate in a category which you were showing as another competitor. So in this case, it says, hey, let's try to analyze your competition by category. Within each of these categories, how are these channels, how are these customers performing? Is there any nugget on the average retail customer price, so on and so forth? So all of this to say, there are complex analysis that can be done repeatedly well because the way we have set up Orcana is understand the question, identify, retrieve the data, and run the analysis using an in-house AI engine, OrcanaAlytics. As a result of this, what we then identified is the goal to answer 50 to 75%, 70% of the frequent analysis that businesses need, which is give me bite-sized nuggets real time for something that I don't need to remember and really prepare for, which is lying in data, but just need a few bullets. There may be a few ad hoc questions that may need to be answered because of metric changes that have happened, and maybe some uncovering of clogs around various customer funnels that we would want to know to better operate. We've transformed these business cases into analytics capabilities, which are very modular to be incorporated, transferred across industries with literally few nuances on what the metric definition could be and what the business rules can be. And all of this is configurable. As you can imagine, the entire scope of what frequent analysis needs would look like has a huge market opportunity. This is about $1 trillion of entire analytics and data science solutions that are coming up, of which a mere 75, we've put a conservative approach of mere 75 billion tools will have natural language enabled, more like assistants that will actually like take off and reduce the redundant work that data analysts are doing. And of which, given how amazing the performance is and what our strategy and background is, we hope to be having a market opportunity of 20 billion in the next 8 years. We're a team of 2 at the moment. I have about 14 years of analytics and data science experience across all industries in the consulting setup for the majority of 8 years, and hence getting a sense of how exactly can these be templatized. Over the last 5 years, I've been working in the tech space from Series A to Series F companies, generated about 200 million plus per healthcare client during my consultant stints. And I have a master's from UC Berkeley and MBA and bachelor's from one of the best universities back in India. I met Srihan during my time at Berkeley, and he's been in the space of Gen AI and natural language models right from even before they became a thing. He's shipped a whole lot of Gen AI products and commercial products as a part of the startup Simpler, which is a part of Assurion's entire umbrella. Rehan and I have been close friends, roommates, and we have had really great times solving problems with students. And over the past year, have really gone into building Orcana and bringing it to life. As a result of the background, we've been able to also really get double down on our professional network and our experience to really talk to customers and bring them in for POCs and live demos. What we have on the far right are 2 customers, one in the retail space and one in the tech space, all directors and above, who interact with Orcana to answer questions that they have with respect to data. They've stopped using HubSpots of the world or dashboards because they know if they have a question, which is what they usually want an answer to, they can just ask Orcana and go from there. So it's been about 3 months of doubling the number of use cases or the departments within these companies who are using Orcana. We've been able to penetrate really deeply into these 2 customers. We've had a really good success with live demos being done from data that was provided from these companies, which are in the decision stage, which said, this is too difficult to believe. Can you just show us a live demo? We don't want you to stage the data. You stage this data for us. They're sending us like about 5 million records of data saying, run this and show us how it works. And this has been a really successful setup where they are asking, like Bidesi is a B2B2B data provider in the cannabis industry who's asking us to give them exclusive license so that we sit in their platform as the sole provider of conversational analytics on their platform. As a result, we are able to not just leverage B2B, but B2B2B as yet another growth lever to achieve that scale and provide competitive advantage to thriving companies. Like I mentioned, it's been a great ride with respect to having these customers validate what we're building and building trust on it, because the way we've set it up is enabling really quick onboarding time. The efficiency is improved from day 1 by saving 4+ hours for senior executives, senior directors and above. There's a tight feedback loop because we get a list of all the questions and how the performance looks like. And all of them are kind of very enthusiastic to have long-term relationship and explore more and more use cases with every meeting that we have. Just with respect to how we stack across competition, most of the way the companies are building these products are relatively RAG-based or GPT wrappers. None of them, as far as we could assess, even based on the demos we've taken from these companies, have developed a setup which says, let's use Gen AI for conversations only and build the internal AI engine that really interacts effectively across the 2 ends for natural language. We provide highly data privacy enabled solutions, which are on-prem, because your data is never exposed to any public API. It's all done within the gamut of OrcanaAlytics, our AI engine, and only questions and answers, which is natural language, are touching the Gen AI APIs or OpenAI APIs. What we've accomplished so far is value prop to pain point alignment, launching the product and really having customers along with validating customers' needs for enterprise. What we want to do over the next 12 to 18 months is identify the scale product market fit, maximize our willingness to pay to understand what else can Orcana do as in a company, develop a sales strategy, and to also standardize the enterprise onboarding. We've had great luck with about 2 to 4 customers who have given us a whole lot of opportunities to share POCs and set up contract proposals which are underway. Our goal is to have SMB customers, a few enterprise clients, and a bunch of B2B2B customers, just so that we get a sense of where exactly can we definitely double down to eventually get the scale product market fit. We're looking for about 1 million as through SafeNote at a 10 million value cap, most of which will be a part of people, right from both Srihani, have advisors and freelancers that can help. The 20%, which is yet another big component, is conferences and content. We're attending a conference next week, and then we're attending PMSA for pharmaceutical companies. We just got shortlisted for a session next month in October in Chicago. And our hosting fee and legal fee are relatively low. Our hosting fee will continue to be low because we only hit APIs of LLMs just for natural language. Rest of all the compute happens within the system, which is very scalable and economical. Thank you so much for your time. We're very, very excited to scale Orcana and seek your support and advice as we go into it.
Thank you, Arjun. And I want to encourage investors. We still have investors who haven't asked questions yet. I want to invite David Gluck from GPT Ventures to give feedback or ask a question. We would love to hear from you. And we have Emilio Escartin from Fuel Capital, and we have Samira Rao, who wants to ask first question. Emilio, David, and who we have? Kate. I don't see Kate. Samira.
The presentation was interesting. It's interesting to see how you guys were able to build an AI that was smarter than ChatGPT, at least when it comes to questions that are relevant to businesses. It's interesting. How did you compile as much data to test that? And are you worried about GPT catching up, so to speak, or do you think that your data sources are more refined to prevent that?
Yeah, it's the schematic of the product is set up to only improve with GPTs improving, because GPTs by design can never get good at analytics, especially a structured set of analytics. So the better they get at understanding natural language, the better they get at synthesizing the output, the better our product becomes. Because everything that sits in the middle, which is the brain of how analysts emulated, is what will continue to get refined and improve, which is totally a different dimension from what GPTs and LLMs are.
Gotcha. So in other words, theirs is more of a chatbot and yours is more of a data processor.
Correct.
That's a good way to summarize it.
Yes.
So just to follow up quickly on that, Arjun, what is the moat here? Is that you guys do RAG really well, and as a result, it's better than any of the LLMs out there in terms of what they can do, or is that more around the integrations with data lakes out there?
So it's actually the engine that sits in the middle. It is basically a logic-based engine, probably has about 8,000 lines of Python code, which we have written as function calls that say, you know what, you use LLMs to identify what the intent is, identify what needs to be done, and then an analysis plan is created from scratch. So we don't use RAGs, or we don't use any of the other like relatively quick plug-and-play GPT wrappers, because they tend to fail. You can't be wrong even once for this to be a product which CXOs are using. So we're like, as long as we're able to understand the intent, the analysis is done from code that we have handwritten. We've kind of made sure that if you're asking a question on trend analytics, this is how you think. If a metric has these kind of aspects, you try and run these 6 things before you touch this particular code, etc. So that is how we emulate what the math should do. And that's what's our mode.
Okay. And you deploy this on-prem, if you will, for these companies who can then augment LLMs with what you have?
Yes, that's right. Yes. And it's also capable of touching any unstructured data sources, saying, hey, there's a product experiment where we have timelines there. If they see a trend, OrcanaAI will be able to read that and say timeline saying, hey, the trend started to decrease here for these geographies. Looks like there was a product experiment that was run. So it generates that hypothesis. So it overlays unstructured and structured data. But the biggest problem with LLMs is the structured data, which we have been able to nail. So the rest is something that we will definitely keep building, getting better at as LLMs get better.
Right. And do you guys do anything around anomalies as well, like what Monte Carlo does or any of these other ones?
Yes, that's precisely some of these key capabilities that we enable, just so that when a question is asked, the first thing it does is it says, why did this decrease? We will see data logs to say, did any of these functions fail? If they did not, then we will see, are there any trend breaks that happened at the very key aspects of these primary metrics that we're looking at? And we do that anomaly detection to an extent. We say that, you know what, there are already a few anomalies. Let's try and double click into that with no stone unturned while answering that question. So we have incorporated a whole lot of statistical tests in the backend.
Sure, helpful. Thanks.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Arjun. And I'm really excited, really proud that you were able to make it. I saw they were guys who were working so hard on boarding their clients, who were not sleeping nights. And that is exactly why I don't dare to interrupt investor questions, because I know the struggle of a founder. I know that this is people's life mission, and we just don't have a moral right to take their opportunities, right? We're here to provide opportunity. And on that note, I want to ask Felipe Varon from VaronAero. Felipe, do you want to pitch? We still have 10 people in the room right now. Do you want to do your pitch now, or do you want to pitch in the next Startup Investor Pitch Lunch? You have a choice.
Hey, how are you, Tanya? So I don't know. I mean, and how are you? Nice to see you. I'd be happy to do the pitch.
I recommend you pitch because first of all, we are recording this meeting and we will be sharing the recording with our network of investors. So it makes sense, even though right now we have 3 great investors in the room to listen to you. But you also have a choice. If you want, you can pitch in the next pitch once. But now we are here, and like everybody is here to hear your pitch.
Well, I would have, I mean, I don't want to disrespect anybody's time, and I've been waiting for quite a while here off my schedule as well. So I'll just go ahead and do a 10-minute pitch and to respect people here. And then we'll talk separately. So thank you very much for the invitation. I'll put my stopwatch here because I do want to stay within the requested time of 10 minutes. My name is Felipe Varon. I'm the founder and CEO of Varon, and I'm going to share my screen here. Just bear with me, if you will. Please confirm if you got it.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, so it should be working there, right? Like I said, I'm the founder and CEO of Varon. We're a disruptive mobility infrastructure company, which means that we are developing a new form of mobility infrastructure. Just like you have train systems, road systems, metro systems, we're developing a new form, which is potentially disruptive because we're bringing the legacy of aviation to the micro world of our suburbs and cities in some future, without the need to build anything in between to generate connections. So we're doing this by implementing the next generation of aviation, which is what we call advanced air mobility. And this means it's an electric aviation. It's a new type of aircraft that they're all highly automated. And we're calling it the next generation of aviation, indeed. So the problem we're tackling is the lack of proper mobility infrastructure. Many governments in the world, especially in the developing countries, and also in developing countries, as you might not know, have a problem, a systematic lack of capability to provide and maintain proper mobility infrastructure that allows, in general, city sprawl, urban growth, and socioeconomic development. And we're doing this by implementing this new form of aviation and by providing transportation services. We will be providing transportation services just like any airline does, but in the micro world and using a different type of aviation, which is now starting to become a reality. We're developing 3 things, basically. We're developing the operations of these aircraft. We're not developing the aircraft themselves. We're developing the operations, the ground operations, pilot operations, etc. Number 2, we're developing our vertiports. And these are the places where the aircraft take off and land. And we're developing our airspace architectures, which is what connects our vertiports. So in a metro system analogy, our aircraft, our eVTOLs, as they're called, these electric and highly automated aircraft, they're the equivalent to the train systems, the vertiports to the stations, and the airspace architectures to the train tracks connecting the stations. The difference, the big potential for disruption lies in that part where it is not physical, but virtual, which means that we're not high in CapEx, but rather an OpEx relying type of operation. So we're developing this whole thing, and with that, we intend to come to governments and other markets in general, both government and private markets, to provide transportation services. These are markets with a high need for connection. And of all, just for the sake of time here, I'll just leave it with the market of entry, which we are very deep into right now, which is tourism. Tourism seems disconnected from urban mobility, which is where we're going in the future, but turns out that it's the lowest hanging fruit. It's the easiest market for us to tackle. And we are implementing our minimum viable operation in the tourism market. We have other markets for potential expansion, of course, and it goes all the way from logistics and medical markets for all sorts of transportation services in suburb and urban operations in the future, all the way to the public transportation services like air taxis and so on. So like I said, the potential for disruption that I want to point out, it lies in the fact that we are bringing that legacy of aviation to the micro world of our regions, our suburbs, and someday of our cities, where we can generate connections by placing our vertiports and implementing these operations in the low altitude airspaces. These airspaces are currently not being used. Sorry, they're not being used, and it's what we are calling the low altitude economy. That's where drone deliveries lie. That's where advanced air mobility lies. And us, we are in the passenger transportation world within that low altitude economy. So the potential for disruption in the mobility infrastructure world, which is our competitive world, it lies in the fact that we can generate connections without the need to build anything in between. No building tracks, no throwing asphalt, no building bridges or digging tunnels. That means that we can come to governments, regional governments, and private entities and tell them, listen, we can generate that connection for you in an OpEx form, not in a CapEx intensive form, as currently happens in the traditional mobility infrastructure world. So we're starting in the tourism world. That's that market. That's where we're initiating. We are really far ahead in this. Our team is all Colombian. We're implementing our first operation in the Colombian Caribbean. And there's many reasons for that, but basically in Colombia, we're doing it faster, at a lower cost, and way, way more simple than doing it in the United States. We are very focused, of course, in the markets in the developed world, like, of course, Europe and the US. But while the regulations become available in these countries, we are starting in Colombia and Latin America, where we do have a very, very tight collaborative work with the civil aviation authorities, and we are finding those special legal frameworks in which we can operate. So our initial round for our minimal viable operation to implement these tourism operations, like I said, we're doing them in the Colombian Caribbean. We're raising a seed round for $3 million in exchange for 20% equity in the company. And the first $660K that we raise of those $3 million will allow us to kick off the flights. These aircraft already exist. These aircraft are today manufactured in China. That's where the leading manufacturers are today. Eventually, there will be other manufacturers in Europe, in the United States, Canada, and we, of course, like an equivalent of an airline, will have different aircraft for different markets and different types of operations. But these initial ones are two-seater aircraft that, like I say, already exists. Our team has already been in China. I have flown in those aircraft myself. My team has flown in the aircraft, and we can purchase those aircraft today. With those two-seater aircraft, we will be launching adventure rides and sightseeing rides, very low altitude, very short range, within private property, by the way, and sort of like an attraction. So that's what the tourism side, the tourism market offers, a very simple, very confined type of operations, but that can generate revenues basically for tickets to ride in these 10-minute adventure rides. This is an image. I wanted to show you an image of our first vertiport. With that $3 million, we will be building our first vertiport. This is an architecturally precise image and also an operationally precise image. We've developed this with many partners, among others, award-winning vertiport designing partners that we have in the US. And this will allow us to initiate these adventure rides in the Colombian Caribbean, which, by the way, we're doing with tourism partners, which are very, very strong tourism operators and hotel owners. So we've got all the business model developed. So again, in a nutshell, we're raising $3 million, I'm sorry, as capital requirement in exchange for 20% equity in the company. And the first $650K will allow us to kick off our first flights. And these are world's first flights. These are world's first operations. It's not about just the aircraft. It's about the entire operations, ground operations, pilot operations, airspace operations, etc. And of course, our minimum viable operation is targeted at acquiring the know-how of these non-existing operations and building the data libraries that we will be building that are also currently non-existent in the world. And we are, of course, focused on the US markets, and I do want to point that out. Not want to say goodbye before showing you our team. We're a team of Colombians. Most of us live in Colombia. Some live in the United States. We have very, very expert people here, among others, regulations experts, pilots. We have data experts and energy experts and so on. So just for the sake of time, I want to leave it there. And of course, I'll be very happy to answer any questions you have. And thank you very much.
Amazing. Thank you, Felipe. And I want to say that we will have an additional separate event that will be devoted to logistics, transportation, hardware, technology, where you will hear more from Felipe and about his vision. But for now, I also want to encourage investors that we have in the room right now and founders that we have in the room right now, because we all are potential customers, passengers of the future of transportation. So you're welcome to ask your questions from Felipe. And Emilio Escartin from Fuel Capital wants to ask a question first.
Yeah, thank you, Felipe, for the presentation. I know a little bit about the mobility industry because last year I ran for about 6 months a venture builder. Belongs to one of the largest family in South America, into the mobility space, by the way. So and even in my previous career, when I was working into the investment bank, I had to deal with this industry, the mobility global industry. So including last year, I met a company, a founder in Saudi, that he was launching a round of 250 million in evaluation, a pre-money evaluation of 1 billion. So I think your company makes sense. I'm very keen about these type of initiatives. The thing is, one of the questions is, have you approached to local governments, whether are in Latin America or Europe or other countries or other destinations, to close agreements with them? Because I think the local or the administration itself would be one of the most, let's say, benefits from this initiative in terms of mobility to improve or enhance the city. This is one question. The other question is, you are seeking 3 million, but I don't know if you mentioned about the pre-money evaluation. If you have something in your mind, let me know.
Yeah, so I'll oh, sorry.
Yeah, and I think I can. I think maybe we can speak after the meeting, after the presentations about the ways of collaboration with part of my network, not my company, because unfortunately our investment strategy in fuel is totally different. But I know quite a bit the industry, and definitely there are big names that can help you out to raise that much.
Well, I'll be very happy and
Emilio priceless. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just want to say that Emilio has a great knowledge of Latam markets, and he worked in Miami for a long time, and he has a really great network that can be interested to invest in Latin American companies. So it's definitely
including in the Gulf. There are companies are reaching agreements with NEOM. This is the new city in Saudi, and in particular about this type of business. So I think made total sense, to launch these initiatives. But sorry, Felipe, maybe.
I appreciate it. And let me go backwards. Just to say, we are a U.S. company. Our holding is in the United States. We're a company incorporated in Delaware. Our bank accounts are in Bank of America. Our accountants are in Coral Gables. So we're a U.S. company, and we have another branch company in Colombia for operations alone. Now, going backwards, the valuation at this stage, because we're early, is very difficult to achieve. So the way we've done it is very simple. We know how much money we need to raise to implement our minimum viable operation. We have that very, very well worked out in detail. And we're doing that in exchange for 20% equity. That's where it comes from. Now, we're very open to any sort of investment vehicle, or different sort of conversations on the valuation, like convertible notes and so on. So we're very open on that, because we have not received any funding outside of this round. We already started receiving money in this round. So it's the first time we start getting money from outside the founders. So with that, I hope I answered that part of the question. I'd be very happy to have a conversation with you. By the way, I plan, like Tanya knows, to be in Miami 2 weeks from now. So I'm planning on that. So if there's some interest, I can definitely would.
Yeah, probably I'll be in Dubai. That's the thing, because I'm continuing traveling back and forth.
All right.
No problem. We can communicate by email, or Tanya will provide my details. So my profile is public, by the way, in LinkedIn. I think most of you guys already has my profile.
We'll be sharing everybody's contacts, all the investors that were present today. I will be sharing founders' contacts, everybody's pitch deck, and everybody's LinkedIn, etc. So you guys can follow up. See you, Felipe. You were pitching last, but you got the invitation to have a private meeting from our investors. So that was a good part.
Like I said, I want to respect everybody's time, and I value that. Let me answer the part of the question that you asked first. Yes, we are very tightly working with the Colombian government. The reasons why we're doing this in Colombia is because I've been working on this idea, I don't even know since 1999, 1998. In many places, they say I'm one of the early inventors of the drone. I've been working on this idea for many, many years. So that means that I've pushed the Colombian government and the civil aviation authorities quite a bit in this for many years. So we are far ahead in the game of implementation of those aircraft, that operation, and those regulations in Colombia. Today, we enjoy the support from the Colombian government in different ways. We're deeply involved, and we collaborate. We have a collaboration going with the Civil Aviation Authority in Colombia. That's the FAA equivalent here. Among others, we are part of the NASA Advanced Air Mobility Work Groups. We share a lot with the FAA, with NASA, with the EASA in Europe. This is a worldwide effort thing, but we're doing it in Colombia because we're ahead in the game. We can do it in Colombia. We cannot do it in the United States. We can do it in Colombia. We already have a roadmap for a regulatory framework to allow us a special zone for operations. And that's why we're implementing our minimum viable operation in tourism with very specific aircraft in a very specific location. So yeah, we have a deep collaboration with the government in different ways.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Felipe.
Thank you.
I want to ask, Samira is here still. Do you want to provide your feedback or ask a question to Felipe? If you're still here.
Yes, I'm here. I don't have any questions on this particular topic right now.
Okay, great. Yeah, I understand. Well, on that note, I want to ask my own question to Felipe. Felipe, do you see yourself as a competition to Elon Musk? What do you think of Elon Musk's plans because he is the biggest disruptor in transportation industry today. He is disrupting transportation industry underground, on the ground, and above the ground. And do you see Elon Musk's companies as potential competitors to what you're trying to
I follow him, I admire him, but at no point and in no way consider myself anything similar to him. So I have to say no. We don't have many competitors right now. There are competitors in the development of aircraft side. There are many developers of aircraft, but we are not developing the aircraft. We're sort of like the airline, like an American Airlines. They have Boeing airplanes, Airbus airplanes, Embraer, and they're all painted with the American Airlines logo. We're the same. We will have different aircraft, and they will all have our Varon logo on them. But right now, it turns out that because these are very incipient technologies, they're just coming, out of creation in many ways. There's just one company in the world, and it is Chinese, that has an aircraft that already has a type certificate, which means that an aviation authority has issued a certificate that allows that aircraft to fly. We cannot fly it in the United States. We knew this many years ago. So that's one of the reasons why we plan to do this in Colombia. Indeed, we can fly and operate these aircraft in Colombia and in Latin America, which means that we as operators are front runners and actually recognized front runners in the advanced air mobility operations world. And the minimum viable operations that we are planning and implementing will very probably be, if not one of the world's first, well, definitely one of the world's first, if not the first of its type. So that's who we are, and we know very well the other people, who they are, the entire ecosystem, and so on. And so thank you for that question.
Exciting. Well, I'm rooting for you guys. And so I do understand, right? You're not planning to go to market in the United States.
I'm sorry, I lost you there. Can you please repeat that question?
Are you planning to go to market in the United States or not because of
Absolutely,
the
that's what I said.
legislative obstacles?
Yes, absolutely. We are a U.S. company. Our initiation in Colombia and in Latin America is a strategic move. We were invited to start our operations in a European country. We visited the country. We met with their top government. It's a very small country, but being Europe, we did not have the advantages that we do have in Colombia, among others of the cost and the simplicity to do it. EASA, the European Aviation Authority, and the FAA are both looking at what we're doing in Colombia because we can do it first. But eventually, after we grow in the tourism market and other markets, our focus is to be front runners in the U.S. market by all means. This will very probably happen towards the end of this decade-ish, questionable and debatable, but it is happening in many ways. So yes.
What is your go-to-market strategy for the United States?
We are sharing a lot with the FAA and NASA, especially with NASA. We are part of the NASA Advanced Air Mobility Work Groups. That's an active thing. So we all know what we're all doing. We know the challenges in the United States, but it's a regulatory thing. The game now is not about the aircraft. The aircraft exist, and they will exist, but it's not about that. It's about how we integrate both these technologies into airspaces or the national airspace in the US, and about how we integrate into regulations. The regulations are the actual big bottleneck. In Colombia, we have a very clear roadmap to obtaining special operational permits in specific locations, specific airspaces, with specific aircraft, which are these that already exist. Once these things start happening in the US, that's our strategy of entry into the US. It will happen, and it is happening, just way, way slower, because the US national airspace is so much more complex. It is federated, where Latin America, it is not. Much simpler. Not less mature, by the way.
Yeah.
But much simpler.
A similar situation with blockchain technologies and crypto project development. America is not the best place for many entrepreneurs. I also want to finalize today's great event, and I would ask you, Felipe, to show us, to inspire us with your futuristic vision of how will the future of transportation look like in like 15 years from now. Are we going to be finally all flying private jets, or what's going to happen?
Nah, I don't think so. Listen, I believe that this is not going to be about private ownership. Mobility, the values in mobility have changed, and it's all about now service. That's why we talk about mobility as a service. People want to have mobility services. And for this to be a reality, because we are within, in the nuts and bolts of the actual regulatory realities and the technological realities of this implementation, We do not see this happening in terms of private ownership, that you will have a flying car. We used to use that term before, many years ago. We moved away from that, but because flying cars, the term car infers private ownership. You take a car when you want, wherever you want. That will not happen in the airspace. It's a different realm. It's a jurisdiction that is regulated in a different way, and it's all about safety. The way we do see this happening is with infrastructure, pre-established routes. That is what we call airspace architecture. It's an architecture, but it's all virtual. It's software. A lot of tools that we use there, among other AI tools, to actually do this without human intervention, how to orchestrate traffic, how to deal with the safety areas and traffic. We're talking about traffic in the low altitude airspace. But the way we see it happening is that people will use this as a service. So the best analogy I can give you is a metro system, but rather having metro stations and trains and tracks. We will have eVTOLs, or electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft. In other words, drones. We will have vertiports instead of stations, and we'll have virtual airspace architectures joining or linking these vertiports, not physical tracks or physical asphalt. That's where the potential for disruption comes. That's the way we see it. You can come to governments and say, listen, in Latin America, there's a huge pressure for urban growth. We can place our vertiports outside the cities and connect those places without the need for high capital expense, but rather operational expenses, just like anything in aviation. But in that way, generate connection and allow urban sprawl or city growth to happen. We see the next developments having vertiports, not parking lots.
Sounds good. Good enough for me. I'm down for vertiport. Anyway, thank you all for such a successful event. You are such inspiring, breathtaking, groundbreaking companies. I wish you great success. We'll do everything in my power to help you raise your rounds. And thank you to all investors for dedicating your time for your mission to support genius, talented founders, building a better future, creating a better world, solving world's greatest problems with AI or other technologies. And wishing you all great time of the day in your time zone. I will be following up, sharing all the video recordings, all the pitch decks, all the contacts. We will continue working with you. But I'm not saying goodbye, and I hope to see all of you many times, and to see your further successes. Thank you all for joining us today. It was Startup Investor Pitch One, Tanya Mitchell, and I will see you next time.
Thank you, Tanya.
Bye,
everybody. Thank you, Tanya.
Bye.
Is the pitch
Bye.
deck
Thank you,
circulated
guys.
already, Tanya?
Good one.